I want to talk more about Clues to the Universe. I've got all kinds of questions about how you crafted it, about Ro and Benji and all of that. But I know esteemed audience loves a good How I Became an Author story, and I don't want to deprive them. So when does it occur to you that you want to be a writer and then that you specifically want to write for a younger audience? Or is this just a book for a younger audience that you're writing and now you're going to write adult romance or whatever going forward?
Not quite yet adult romance. I think I'm still very much in the kidlit space. But I wanted to become a writer, I think, around when I was in 6th grade. I think, I was reading books and I was loving them. And I think one day it kind of just weirdly clicked. It was like, okay, well, if you love these books so much, like, why not write them yourself? And I started writing, and for some reason, I just jumped immediately to novels. I don't know why I took on kind of seemingly the more ambitious task of like finishing a novel as opposed to like finishing a short story or poem or something. But I think I just love books so much that it was just me trying to like kind of emulate that. And yeah.
Real quick side question: is that a quality that's true of you in life in general, that you'll throw yourself in the deep end, or is that just true for your comfort zone with books?
I think it's most true in my writing. Sometimes I push myself in other ways to kind of like reach for the stars, but books, I really just went all out there. I didn't know how to write a book. I had read books. I didn't know how to write one, but I participated in this thing called National Novel Writing Month. And I think that was the best kind of training program for me, essentially. A lot of my writing is self-taught. And so I was just like, okay, like I have a month. I can write. I think my goal for that, it usually is 50,000 words, but I think it was like 30,000 or something. Like, I'll write 30,000 words in this month and we'll see how it goes. A lot of times my book endeavors are just me wanting to like write like a practice book, I think. And then it like magically becomes a real book. That's what I did for my first draft. I was like, here's my like practice novel, like first ever practice book. And then it turned into a full draft. And then with Clues to the Universe, I hadn't written middle grade before. Actually, I'd previously extensively only written YA. And so I was like, well, like, I don't know how to write a middle grade book, but this is going to be my practice book. And so I was lucky enough that it turned into a fully formed book, because not all of my books do that. A lot of my books kind of don't have endings, or they fall apart, or they're shelved or something. But every once in a while I kind of get a gem, and then I run with it. And so, yeah, started writing books, and then wrote a couple, as I mentioned, I was writing YA, I was writing kind of all sorts. I think I had my like dystopian phase when everyone was like reading dystopian. Exactly. It was like 2012 was a very specific time period. And so eventually, I got an agent. I after a lot of querying and pitching and stuff. And then my first book actually didn't sell in sub, which happens a lot in publishing. And so kind of shelved it, back to the drawing board. And then that was kind of when the idea for Clues to the Universe came to me the summer after my high school graduation. There was a lot of fresh starts going on in my life. And I was like, kind of almost a little burnt out at that point from writing, because I didn't know what I wanted to write and where I was going next. But then the idea for Clues came to me and I just had to write the book. So that is how I became an author.